Hey, hey, hey. Hello from England. This is Career Coach Rod. And I want to start tonight with some news that dropped around this week that perfectly illustrates some of the things I've been saying about digital health careers. Epic just reported that they now control 42.3% of the hospital EHR market. Oracle, which paid $28 billion for Cerner just 3 years ago, has dropped to 22.9%. They lost 74 hospitals in 2024, a bunch in 2025. But here's the rub. This is the trap most people fall into. They hear this and they think, well, I better learn Epic. Or should I avoid Oracle projects? And that is exactly the wrong lesson to take from this news. That kind of thinking keeps you stuck in a vendor specific role instead of building a real digital health career. So today, I want to show you why the smartest digital health professionals are technology agnostic, and how that mindset protects your income during transitions, and why corporate vendor wars are actually creating more opportunities for clinical professionals who understand what really matters: patient care outcomes. So drop me something in the comments if you've ever been worried about picking the wrong technology to specialize in. What if this is what I learn and then nobody likes it next week? Yeah, this is healthcare. Healthcare is healthcare. So here it is. This is the mindset shift. And the reality. Here's something that'll blow your mind. So I just told you Epic is, they're winning. They're wiping the floor with Oracle, which used to be called Cerner. And Cerner used to be dominant. Go back 10 years ago. Yeah, Cerner's cleaning house with everybody and doing a great job and just destroying all the competition. And before that, it was another system. And in 10 years from now, it might not be Epic anymore. But you know what hasn't changed? Digital health continues to explode. $14.2 billion in funding last year alone. AI adoption growing 7 times year over year. Countries like Ireland, they just approved a €2 billion rollout for a national EHR. 2 billion. So the vendor loyalty is a trap. When you tie your career to a specific vendor, you're basically saying, I'm betting my future on Oracle's sales team, or Epic better keep winning contracts or I'm in trouble. And that's not a career strategy, that's gambling. That's hoping you picked the right horse in a race that never ends. So clinical expertise, on the other hand, brings something else. When you're technology agnostic, when you understand workflow optimization, clinical safety principles, change management, and how to translate bedside reality into system requirements, you're too valuable in every vendor, for every health system, for every startup. You're not selling Epic or Oracle or Meditech. You're selling healthcare transformation. So my personal belief here, I've worked with Epic and Cerner and Meditech and smaller systems. I've worked with custom builds across multiple continents. My value was never knowing which button to click. It was understanding how nurses and doctors actually work, what causes medication errors, why doctors abandon systems, how to protect patients during digital transitions. That knowledge doesn't expire when a vendor loses market share. And this is what I mean by coloring outside of the lines in this space. You're not confined to one technology ecosystem. You can move between vendors, between health systems, between countries, and your expertise is the human side of healthcare technology. It'll always be needed. So here's a little market reality check. So who's going to win the EHR wars? I don't know. Let me give you the broader picture, though. Total digital healthcare market is projected to exceed $1 trillion globally by 2030. AI healthcare startups raised $14.2 billion in 2025. Virtual care, remote care, ambient AI documentation, clinical decision support, they're all exploding. And here's the kicker. 85% of healthcare AI spend goes to startups, not the big legacy vendors. So there's new things growing, new things underfoot. But do you want to know why Epic is crushing Oracle right now? It's not better technology. Oracle has massive resources, right? Healthcare organizations cite partnership and responsiveness as the reason they choose Epic. What does that translate to in real life? Epic listens to clinicians. They understand workflows. They respond when nurses say, this is dangerous, or when doctors say, this is clunky. This is you. This is your competitive advantage. And who teaches, because I mean, who teaches vendors how to listen to clinicians? Who tests these systems? And who says, whoever designed this has clearly never worked a night shift in their life. Who bridges the gap between engineers and bedside reality? Clinical professionals like you who've moved into digital health roles. That's your protection instinct becoming billable at 100, 200 plus per hour as a consultant. So let's take Ireland for the example. I mentioned it earlier. They just approved procurement for a national EHR system, a whole country. Their largest digital transformation project ever, and entire countries are betting billions that digital health is here to stay. It's the future, not a trend. This isn't a pilot program. This is healthcare transformation at systemic national levels. So when Oracle loses market share to Epic, what I see in my reality is more implementation projects, more system replacements, more consulting opportunities, more change management needs, more training contracts. Vendor competition creates work for technology agnostic professionals who can help with any transition. The clinical part never changes, right? People get sick, we help them get better. But here's some reality. The number one thing that stops most clinical professionals from making this kind of move is income. You're thinking, as I was thinking, I can't afford to start over. I have a mortgage, I have children, college, I have life. And you're right, you cannot afford to start over, which is why you don't. Keep your clinical work, get started and keep your clinical work. Here's how you protect yourself financially. You don't quit your job and hope for some digital health, unicorn to work out. You keep clinical sessions working, bank shift, locum work, private practice, PRN, whatever keeps the money coming in. I kept my nursing license for 10 years after I started working in digital health because I just wasn't sure that it was real. And, after a decade of evidence, I had to kind of admit the truth, but that's the reality. That's how it feels, right? Once I actually let go of that, I could look back and see, oh, I'm making over like 200 grand a year here. I'm working internationally. I don't actually need to keep my scrubs. If I really need to, I could buy more scrubs. I could buy another stethoscope. It's fine. The math changes everything. A lot of digital health roles, clinical informaticist, CNIO, industry medical director, they pay 80 to 130k pounds in the UK, 120 to $200,000 in the US, and that's comparable to or better than senior clinical salaries. As a consultant, I've seen nurses charging $100, $200 an hour. US Epic consultants, $150, $200 an hour. That's regular charging rates. That's not starting over. That's career advancement. So you don't need to leave your current job to start building digital health credentials. Volunteer as a super user. Join quality improvement projects. Get on the AI pilot team. Join internal EHR optimization efforts. Document what you do. Document what you've improved. Screenshot how your workflows fixed things and what they fixed. Track the metrics. You're building your portfolio while you're still getting paid clinically. And your employer's getting extra value out of you. What's to complain about, right? Next, look for internal opportunities. Outside of the US, there's secondments. I'll do clinical informatics for one day, and then I'll keep my clinical work for the other days. That's fine. Or industry advisory work, a few hours a month reviewing startups' products for $5,000, $10,000. This isn't an either or, this is a yes and. And use that money to build up a little buffer, say 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, not because you'll need it, but because it gives you negotiating power. You feel stronger. You feel like you can walk away from bad offers. You can wait for the right role, for right offers. You're not desperate, and clients can smell desperation. They'll pay you less for it. So, real talk about the timelines here. Most people who are proactive want to make this kind of change. They achieve a meaningful shift in 9 months to a year and a half. That's not quit tomorrow and hope. That's just structured transition. Some months of learning, some months of building experience, some months of positioning and interviewing. Your income doesn't drop. It changes. It transforms over this time period. And remember, I've got some previous articles. Remember what I learned at Intel, and when corporate restructuring hit us, I learned that employment security was a terrible illusion. They promise stability and then they restructure. Digital health consulting and freelancing, I find, is actually just more honest. Clients don't lie about your value or your compensation. They need you or they don't need you. And they pay you market rate or they're going to lose you. And that transparency is more secure than promised job security that evaporates when someone decides to merge something. So this year, the hot roles, 2026. Right now, clinical informaticists. You're the translator between IT and clinical teams. Digital transformation project managers, coordinating these massive EHR implementations and AI rollouts. Clinical safety specialists, making sure systems don't harm patients. That sounds pretty fundamental, right? Implementation specialists, teaching staff how to use these systems effectively. Medical directors at health startups, they need clinical credibility. Or do what I did, go down the consulting path, go independent. EHR consultants, workflow optimization consultants, clinical validation for AI companies, change management specialists. The Ireland EHR rollout, that one alone, they're going to need hundreds of consultants over the next 5 to 7 years. Same thing in every country, every region. You can go also the industry side. So you can work directly for an Epic, for an Oracle, for a Meditech, or one of the AI startups that just raised all those billions. Or you can go to the health side, working for the hospitals and implementing and optimizing. Both pay well. Both value clinical expertise. Both offer remote flexibility most of the time. And remember, when you do this, you go from helping one patient at a time to impacting thousands. Fix a medication ordering workflow, you just made care safer for every patient in that hospital from that point in time forward, out into infinity. That's the impact and the purpose you were looking for when you first went into healthcare in the first place. So, to wrap this up, don't pick sides in a vendor war. Build technology agnostic expertise in healthcare transformation. Protect your income by keeping clinical work close during your transition, building your experience strategically, and creating a financial buffer. The opportunities are massive and growing. The $14 billion in funding, countries spending billions on digital infrastructure, AI exploding across healthcare, but the window is now. This is your EHR moment, just like 2009, 2012, when clinical professionals recognized the pattern early and jumped in. The transition window is open, and before AI becomes mandatory in 2027, 2029, that's when everyone will try to make the shift at once. Beat them to the punch. If you're ready to make this leap and you want help designing your specific transition strategy, protecting your income while you build digital health and your credentials, positioning yourself, then book a discovery call with me. We'll look at your situation, map out the next 90 days, create a plan that actually works for your life, if that's right for you. And you can connect with me pretty easily. Head over to rodgamble.com. You see it down at the bottom of the screen. Book that little call if you need to. Read the articles. Get the free information that you can. And you'll start to see why this is one of the fastest growing sectors of healthcare. One final thought for you. You've spent years mastering clinical care. That expertise doesn't become less valuable in digital health. It becomes more valuable. You're not starting over. You're scaling up. Thanks for joining me live.